Hello everyone in Medical Scribe. I'm Karar Haidar, a student at Baghdad Medical College. We knew from the previous videos that the bone tissue will be of two types, either compact bone or spongy bone. And most bones will have these two types together, but their distribution and concentration in the bone will differ from bone to bone according to the bone function. And although the two types are composed of the same cells and the same matrix, they are different in the organization. This will lead to differences in their densities and how tightly their tissue is packed together. So in today's video, we will talk about the first type, which is the compact bone or the cortical bone. The compact bone, when seen from outside, it will be the hard outer layer of the bone, which will be considered as the bone cortex. This type will be denser than the spongy bone, and therefore it will be able to resist the force that exerted on it. While this type will give the bone its smooth, white appearance and solid shape. And this type will constitute approximately 80% of the bone mass of the adult human skeleton, meaning that about 80% of the bone weight will be made by this type. This is all about the external appearance and an overview about this type. Microscopically, we will see that it will consist of several microscopic columns, each column called osteon, which is the structural and functional unit of the bone. And this column will extend longitudinally along the vertical axis of the bone. So, if we come to each column or each osteon, it will consist of multiple circular layers that called lamellae. These layers formed by the collagen fibers and the mineralized matrix. And in these lamellae, there are cavities called lacunae. These lacunae make a space for osteocytes and osteoblasts, which are the bone cells. Alright, this configuration of lamellae will surround a central canal called the Haversian canal, which contains blood vessels, nerves, and lymphatic vessels. Those vessels will nourish the osteon cells, and the cells in turn will excrete to them its wastes. Now, let's review it quickly. The compact bone consists of columns called osteons. Each osteon consists of circular layers called lamellae, and every lamella has cavities called lacunae, in which the osteocytes and osteoblasts will lie. And these layers will surround a central canal called the Haversian canal, which contains blood vessels and nerves. Alright? Good. Another thing to know that these osteons aren't isolated from each other, because there is a communication between them through special horizontal canals connect between osteon and osteon called the Volkmann's canals. While between these osteons there are spaces, these spaces will be filled with lamellae called the interstitial lamellae. And also, to the outside and inside from these columns, I mean close to the surface of the bone and close to the spongy bone, we will have spaces also. Those spaces will be filled with lamellae called the external and the internal circumferential lamellae. Good. We have also to understand that those columns or those osteons are metabolically active. What does this mean? It means that the osteon can produce new bone material, its salt and minerals can be reabsorbed from it, and also its cell can change their site within it. All these changes make the osteons described by metabolically active. And all this happen according to the body's condition and its needs. Well, This cortical bone, as we said, will form the outer part or the shell or the cortex of the bone. This cortex will be surrounded by something to the outside called the periosteum, which will cover all the bone except for the articulating parts or the articulating surfaces. Now, this periosteum, of course, have many details and certain functions that will be explained in a separate video. Lastly, in today's video is to know some rules of this cortical bone. The first rule is that because its density and its cell arrangement, this will give the strength and the hardness to the bone. The second rule is storing and releasing chemicals and salts for the body, like the calcium. And the last one is to make the bone perform its function in the best way and as required. So that was all what I have about the cortical bone or the compact bone. And that's it. I hope what I said makes sense. See you next video and goodbye.